There's a turning point in everyone's financial journey when things start to click. One day you're checking your investment portfolio, wondering if it's even growing. And then, almost out of nowhere, you realize your money is generating more income than some people make from their 9 to 5. It's not luck, it's math. And there are three key net worth milestones where this shift becomes so powerful, your wealth building momentum kicks into high gear. I'm Nate. And I probably spend way too much time thinking about compound interest and why so many people stay stuck in the paycheck to paycheck grind. If you're done watching your savings crawl forward at a glacial pace and want to know exactly when your net worth starts pulling its own weight and then some, go ahead and subscribe. And if this helped you finally spot that glimmer at the end of your financial tunnel, hit that like button too. Hold up, before we break down these three powerful milestones, think about this for a second. When you picture building wealth, what do you see? Maybe a Wall Street guy in a sharp suit making high-stakes trades, or someone living off a trust fund courtesy of Great Aunt Simon. Here's the surprising truth. The people who actually build real wealth aren't always the highest earners or the biggest risk takers. They're the ones who understand the kind of thing that sounds obvious until you really think about it. Wealth doesn't grow in a straight line. It builds momentum over time, gradually at first, then accelerating into something massive. And along that path, there are three critical moments where the momentum shifts dramatically and everything changes. The first major milestone comes at $150,000. The second kicks in around $500,000. And the third, the one that completely changes how you think about money, arrives at $1 million. Now here's the kicker. Most people think hitting $150,000 means you're just 10% of the way to be a millionaire. They couldn't be more wrong. And that one misconception, it's the reason so many people throw in the towel before they ever see the real magic begin. Let me give you a snapshot of what most folks picture when they think about building wealth. They see it as a simple, straightforward process where every $5 saved moves you exactly $5 closer to your goal. Save $5,000, you're $5,000 closer. Save $40,000, $40,000 closer. Sounds logical, right? But that's actually the opposite of how money really works when it's invested the right way. The truth is way more exciting than most people realize, but it does demand a kind of patience that our fast-paced, instant everything culture tends to overlook. We live in a world where you can order a ride with a tap, get your groceries delivered in under an hour, and watch any show instantly on your phone. Waiting decades for results? That feels completely impossible to most. Here's the key difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who keep wondering why they never get ahead. Money doesn't just sit idle when invested wisely. It begins to work on your behalf, generating returns, and then those returns start to generate their own returns. This isn't some flashy get-rich-quick pitch or a financial fantasy. It's pure math, the same principle that's been turning ordinary people into millionaires for generations. The key is mastering the power of compound interest. People who get how compound interest works can grow serious wealth over time. Those who don't often end up working harder and harder while their money just sits in low-interest savings accounts, barely doing anything. Let's break it down with some real numbers. Imagine you commit to investing $400 every month. That's about $100 a week. Not exactly pocket change, but manageable for most working adults. It's probably what you're already blowing on streaming services, fancy lattes, and online purchases you forgot you made until the box showed up. Now, if your investments earn a conservative average return of 7% annually, lower than the typical long-term stock market average, here's where it gets exciting. With regular investing, you're making slow but sure progress toward that first financial milestone, $150,000. In the beginning, most of the money in your account comes straight from what you put in. You're doing most of the work while compound interest is just getting started. The returns are helpful, but they haven't yet become the main driver of your growing wealth. This is where a lot of people slip up. They look at their early progress and assume it's not working. The growth feels sluggish and the returns seem underwhelming. What they don't realize is they've already conquered the toughest stretch of the entire journey. They've laid the groundwork that everything else is going to build on. It's kind of like learning a new language. At first, it's all awkward sentences and forgotten vocabulary. Progress is slow and frustrating. But once the basics click, you start picking things up faster and faster without even realizing it. From here on, your money starts doing the heavy lifting. The returns that felt almost insignificant in the early stages begin to accelerate. That next 150,000, from 100 to 200, arrives much faster than the first. Why? Because now the engine of compound growth is firing on all cylinders. The math has started tipping in your favor. Compound interest, which was quietly warming up behind the scenes, is now gaining real momentum. Your money is no longer just growing, it's multiplying. And those gains, they're no longer small. They're stacking on top of each other at an increasingly rapid pace. Here's the part that might just change how you see all of this. The reason that the first 150,000 feels so monumental isn't just emotional, it's mathematical. Compound interest doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows in curves. Each bit of growth feeds the next, creating a self-reinforcing loop that picks up speed over time. Think of it like pushing a car up a hill. The beginning is slow, sweaty, and honestly, kind of demoralizing. But once you hit the peak, gravity flips the script. The car starts rolling on its own, and your job becomes less about pushing and more about steering. At this point, you're probably wondering what the journey looks like from here to that magical $1 million mark. This is where things start to get really fun, and honestly, a little addictive. As you keep up with your monthly investments, compound interest starts taking center stage. It's no longer a supporting actor. It's the lead. As your portfolio expands, more and more of your net worth comes from growth, not your own contributions. That's the beauty of this whole system. You don't have to go off the grid or live on instant noodles to make it work. It comes down to putting away a reasonable amount each month, something most people can manage just by being a bit more intentional with their spending. This isn't about cutting all joy from your life. It's about small, repeatable habits that over time create something extraordinary. The person who gets this, and more importantly, acts on it, has a real shot at building serious wealth. The one who keeps waiting for the perfect time or the perfect amount will likely end up stuck in place, always wondering what might have been. Honestly, that's a shame, because this isn't some high-level financial wizardry. It's basic math. No insider tips, no risky bets. Just time, consistency, and a strategy that works. Now we're hitting the second big turning point, and this is where things start to feel real from a day-to-day life perspective. Reaching $500,000 in solid, income-producing investments is a game changer, even if most folks don't realize just how much until they're actually there. Here's why it matters so much. The typical household in the US brings in around $84,000 a year, and that money usually comes from working a full-time job. That means early mornings, traffic, bosses, meetings, stress, and all the usual grind. But if you've got $500,000 working for you, invested the right way, it can start putting money in your pocket without needing to clock in every day. For a lot of people, hitting this level of savings is a huge mindset shift. You're suddenly seeing real money coming in without trading your time for it. That income can help cover bills, pad your savings, or even let you cut back on work if you want to. And if you decide to keep working, great. Now you're building wealth faster and letting compound interest do its thing in the background. It's like enjoying dessert while someone else refills your plate.
At this point, money stress starts to ease up. You're not completely out of the woods, but the fear of something like losing your job or getting hit with an emergency doesn't hang over your head the same way. Those things become bumps in the road instead of full-blown disasters. You've got breathing room, and that breathing room is worth more than most people realize until they finally feel it for themselves. There's something even more powerful that happens at this point, and it goes beyond just feeling financially secure. Once you've got a solid chunk of money working for you, your whole outlook on risk starts to shift. You're no longer stuck playing it safe just to survive. You can start taking smart, calculated risks that could actually help you grow your wealth even more. It could be that deep down, you've always wanted to work for yourself, but the fear of losing a steady paycheck kept you from trying. Well, when your savings are covering a big part of your everyday expenses, that safety net gives you room to finally take that leap. Or maybe you've wanted to go back to school or pick up a new skill, something that could open doors and raise your earning potential down the road. It's a lot easier to do that when you're not constantly worried about how you're going to pay the rent next month. You might just want to travel, see the world, and make memories while you're still young and healthy enough to enjoy them. When your money is doing some of the heavy lifting, you don't have to wait until you're 65 to start living the life you actually want. This is what true financial freedom feels like. It's not about flashy cars or big houses or trying to impress people. It's about freedom. It's about having options, the power to say no to things that drain you, and yes to the things that light you up. It's about shaping your life around what matters most to you, instead of constantly bending to the limits of your paycheck. You're probably wondering, yeah, but what about inflation? Won't that eat away at everything over time? That's a smart question, and the good news is it's already built into the plan if you're doing it right. If your investments are bringing in steady returns each year, and you're only spending a portion of that income, the rest keeps growing. That growth helps your money keep up with rising prices. Over time, your original investment, your base amount, slowly grows, which means the income it produces grows too. So you're not just keeping up with the cost of living, you're actually getting ahead. And here's something a lot of people forget to include in the big picture: Social Security. Now, I'm not saying you should totally rely on it or expect it to stay exactly the same by the time you're ready to collect. But chances are, it'll still be there in some form and offer a little extra monthly income. Right now, the average Social Security check is about $2,000 a month. Combine that with solid passive income from your investments, and you've got the makings of a pretty comfortable lifestyle without needing to stress every dollar. Crossing the seven-figure mark is a game changer. That first million isn't just a number. It's a real mindset shift most people don't get until they're there. When you reach $1 million through disciplined investing, you feel a huge sense of relief. All those years of saving, skipping extras, and making sacrifices suddenly pay off. It's like finishing a tough puzzle and stepping back to see the whole picture come together. You might not feel rich, especially with inflation, but you'll feel proud. You've shown that with discipline, the system can actually work for regular folks like you. What's really cool about hitting your first million is how it changes your mindset. When most of that money is invested the right way, suddenly new opportunities start popping up everywhere. Maybe you've always wanted to invest in startups but never had the funds. Now you do. Or maybe you've dreamed of being a real estate investor but couldn't get approved for loans. Your net worth now opens doors that were once closed. The fear of financial disaster doesn't vanish, but it shrinks to something you can handle. You're earning enough passive income that even if things go sideways, you won't be scraping by in retirement. That kind of peace of mind is hard to explain unless you've lived it. This is the turning point. It's what distinguishes millionaires who maintain their wealth from those who go on to become multimillionaires. Some people get comfortable once they hit $1 million and start to relax. They think they've made it, so they ease up on the habits that got them there, and that's a big mistake. Those who master wealth building see the first million as just the starting line. From there, growth accelerates. Each next million takes less effort than the last, thanks to compounding. With discipline and time, the math starts working more and more in your favor, shifting how you see both money and opportunity. I get it. Some of you might be thinking, Nate, but how do I handle market crashes? What happens if the economy collapses right when I'm counting on my funds? Those are totally valid concerns, and that's exactly why diversification and cautious withdrawal strategies are so important. Here's something most people don't realize about market downturns. If you're investing continuously over the long haul, crashes can actually speed up your wealth building. When prices fall, your regular contributions buy more shares. And when the market bounces back, which it always has, those extra shares you picked up during the dip can become incredibly valuable. So here it is. 3 pivotal milestones that turn your net worth from a steady pace into a financial powerhouse. $150,000. When compound interest finally springs to life and starts doing the heavy lifting. 2. $500,000. When your money begins generating meaningful passive income that shifts your financial security. And 3. $1 million. When you realize you've basically won the financial game most people don't even know exists. The numbers never lie, even if the payoff takes longer than our instant results world is used to. Start investing with purpose today, because years from now, you'll either be celebrating your decision or wishing you had made it sooner.